My wife was perfect until I found out who our son's real father was, a true story about the moment everything shattered. Welcome to Next Chapter Life Stories. Your support means the world to us. Please like, subscribe, and share with friends. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's story. This is your next chapter. If you'd asked me a year ago what kind of man I was, I would have said trusting. Not stupid, just the kind who believes that love means giving someone the benefit of the doubt. My name's Ethan Miller. I'm 37, live just outside Portland, Oregon, in one of those neighborhoods where everyone waves but nobody really talks. My wife, Laura, and I have been married 8 years. We've got a 6-year-old son, Owen. Life was fine, predictable, safe, until it wasn't. It started small, little things. One evening, she came home from work later than usual, said traffic on I-5 was a nightmare. She dropped her purse on the counter, kissed me quick, and went straight to the shower. No big deal. But when I grabbed her jacket to hang it up, I noticed a faint smell, men's cologne. Not mine, not her dad's. Different. I told myself I was imagining it. Portland's full of people. She could have brushed past anyone, right? But once you start noticing, you can't stop. The next week, she changed her phone passcode. Work security policy, she said. Then she started dressing nicer for the office. New blazer, new lipstick, new perfume. When I teased her about it, she laughed it off. You're cute when you're jealous. That word, jealous, stuck in my throat. I wasn't jealous. I was scared. Still, there was nothing concrete. No texts, no lipstick-stained shirts, no random receipts from a hotel or restaurant. Just moments. Strange, disconnected moments that didn't add up. I even told my buddy Mark at work. He's the blunt type. Man, he said, if you think she's cheating, check her phone. End of story. But I couldn't. Because what if I was wrong? What if I became that guy? The paranoid husband who breaks trust for nothing. So I waited, and doubted, and slowly unraveled. One Friday in April, Laura said she had to go to a client dinner downtown at Jake's Famous Crawfish. She even showed me the calendar invite on her phone. Looked legit, but something felt off. So I decided to test it. After work, I drove downtown too, told her I had a late meeting. Parked across the street, grabbed coffee, and waited. The restaurant was packed. Around 7 p.m., I saw her walk in. She looked stunning. Black dress, hair down, heels she never wears for work. She met a small group near the bar. 3 people, 2 men, 1 woman. They laughed, ordered drinks. Looked normal. After an hour, she left with the group. They got into separate cars. Nothing. I sat there feeling like an idiot. Like some stalker with too much imagination. When she got home later, she smelled like seafood and wine. Told me the dinner went great. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The next week, I checked her credit card statement. Nothing strange. Her location on Find My iPhone matched what she said. She was too clean, too careful. Still, every now and then, she'd say, I might stay late again, or we're finishing a big campaign. And each time, a little voice in my head whispered, she's lying. I started doing stupid things. Recording the mileage on her car. Checking the laundry for anything unusual. Once, I even drove by her office at 9 p.m. Lights were on. Her car was there. So why did the dread keep growing? About a month later, I found a single earring under the passenger seat of her car. Small, silver, not hers. When I showed it to her, she barely blinked. Oh, that's probably Jenna's. She carpooled with me last week. She said it so casually I almost believed her. That night, I stood in the shower replaying her tone, her expression, the speed of her answer. Perfect. Too perfect. I started losing sleep. I'd wake up at 2 a.m., glance at her glowing phone screen, wondering who she was texting. Sometimes I'd pick it up just to check the time, but she'd roll over instantly, pulling it closer. One night, she caught me staring. What? She whispered. Nothing, I said. Just couldn't sleep. She smiled sadly. You need to stop worrying so much. And for a brief moment, I thought maybe she was right. Maybe it was driving myself crazy. Because love makes you blind, but suspicion makes you insane. Then came the storm. Mid-May. I had a job site 2 hours away in Salem, supposed to stay overnight. But around noon, my boss called. Plans changed, inspection postponed. So I packed up early, grabbed coffee, and started the drive back. I almost texted her, heading home early, But then I stopped. Something inside whispered, don't. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe instinct. Maybe I just needed the truth one way or another. The drive back felt endless. Every mile, my thoughts got darker. What if she was cheating? What if I walked in and found her with someone else? What would I do? By the time I pulled into our neighborhood, it was nearly 3 p.m. Her car was in the driveway, curtains half closed, music faintly playing inside. And that's where everything I thought I knew about my life began to crumble. I couldn't focus at work that week. Every email looked like gibberish. Every phone call faded into background noise. Mark, my co-worker, finally pulled me aside. Dude, you look like hell, he said. You sure you're not just projecting something? Projecting what? I don't know. Maybe you're scared of losing her. Maybe that's why you see things that aren't there. I wanted to argue, but he wasn't wrong. At night, I'd lie in bed next to her and stare at the ceiling, wondering if I'd built this nightmare in my own head. One night, I dreamed she was sitting at our kitchen table with a stranger, laughing. When I walked in, they both turned, but the man's face was mine. I woke up in a cold sweat. That morning, I left for work early and sat in my truck, just gripping the steering wheel. Something inside me whispered, "You're about to lose everything, one way or another." I took off my wedding ring and placed it in the cup holder. Just for a moment, I told myself. But even after I drove off, I didn't put it back on. I parked down the street. My hand was shaking so badly, I dropped my keys twice. I remember thinking, this is insane. What was I expecting to find? Her napping on the couch? Singing in the shower? But then, I heard laughter. A man's laugh. Deep. Confident. It cut right through the music. I froze. The sound came from the kitchen. Faint clinking of glasses. Then her voice. Light. Playful. I didn't recognize it. It wasn't the tone she used with me. I walked up the steps, quietly, my heart beating so loud I thought it would give me away. Through the half-closed blinds, I saw her, standing by the counter, wine glass in hand. And opposite her, a man, maybe mid-30s, tall, wearing a white shirt. They were laughing about something. Too close. Too familiar. She touched his arm. He leaned in. My throat went dry. And just as I was about to open the door, he turned. It was Dr. Cole, our marriage counselor. I swear my brain short-circuited. Dr. Cole, the man who spent months helping us rebuild trust after her stress episodes. The man who told me to learn to let go. The man who said, sometimes, Ethan, what you think is control is really fear. I couldn't move. I wanted to burst and scream, punch something, but I just stood there, watching my wife pour another glass of wine for the man who'd promised to fix our marriage. They didn't kiss. Not yet. But there was this electricity between them, that silent, dangerous kind. I backed away, shaking, my pulse roaring in my ears. I went to my car and sat there for what felt like hours. Part of me thought I should record it. Get proof. Another part just broke. By the time I drove off, I wasn't even angry. Just hollow. I didn't tell her that night. When she asked why I came home so late, I said there was a meeting. She smiled, hugged me, said she missed me. The next morning, I called Dr. Cole's office and pretended to reschedule a session. The receptionist told me he was on vacation. In Oregon City, she said. That's 40 minutes from Portland. Same area code as the number Laura called last night. So I drove there. His vacation home was a small cabin by the Clackamas River, and parked right outside my wife's car. My vision went red. I walked up the path, each step heavier than the last. The door wasn't even locked. I pushed it open. Empty. Kitchen light on, wine glasses in the sink. But nobody there. Then I heard noise outside. Footsteps. Laughter again. They were standing by the riverbank, barefoot, tossing stones into the water like teenagers. I should have screamed. Instead, I whispered, Laura. She turned. And that's when the second shock hit me. She wasn't surprised to see me. Not at all. She didn't gasp or hide or run. She just looked tired. Ethan, she said softly, I was going to tell you. Dr. Cole took a step back. He didn't say a word. I laughed, this ugly, broken laugh I didn't recognize. Tell me what? That you're screwing our therapist by the river? She shook her head. It's not what you think. God, that phrase. I wanted to rip it out of existence. But then she said something that made my blood freeze. "I'm sick, Ethan." At first, I thought it was another lie, another way out. But then she pulled up her sleeve. A small white patch covered her arm, and underneath, a port. 4-4 treatment. "What the hell is that?" I asked. "It's chemo," she said. "I've been seeing Dr. Cole because he's been helping me with pain management and therapy. He's been the only one who knew." I didn't believe her. I couldn't, until she handed me a folder from her bag. Inside, test results, prescriptions, hospital forms, all dated weeks ago. My throat closed up. She wasn't lying. "I didn't tell you," she said, "because I didn't want you to look at me like a patient. I just needed someone who could help me handle it." Dr. Cole helped me cope. I stared at the river, at the way the light hit the water, and I felt the weight of every doubt I'd ever had. All the nights I thought she was cheating. All the times I accused her in my head. All the times she said, "You need to stop worrying so much." And she was right. I had no idea what she was going through. For a few seconds, everything inside me shattered. I reached for her. She stepped closer. We just stood there, both crying. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. A week after she told me about the illness, things went quiet. I'd make her tea, drive her to appointments, hold her hand through the nausea. We barely talked about the past. It was like we'd silently agreed to erase it. One night, I found an old photo album while looking for her blanket. There we were, 8 years ago in Seattle, soaked from rain, laughing like idiots. That was the night we met. She had dropped her phone into a puddle outside a coffee shop, and I offered her mine to call a cab. "Are you always this nice to strangers?" she teased. "Only to the ones who ruin their phones in style," I said. We ended up talking for hours. She told me she hated liars, that honesty was the only thing she couldn't forgive. I remember thinking, God, I found a real one. Now I looked at that same photo and couldn't recognize the woman beside me. Or maybe I couldn't recognize the man who believed her. But peace doesn't last. Not when you've built your marriage on half-truths. Over the next few weeks, things changed. She started treatment. I took time off work. I became her caretaker. We didn't talk about Dr. Cole much. She said he moved away, and I believed her. Until one night, about a month later, I was cleaning her laptop, and a notification popped up. Email from Cole M. Subject, "You can't keep pretending." I froze. Against my better judgment, I opened it. "Laura, I can't keep this secret anymore. You promised to tell him the truth. I deserve that much. You know what this means. You know what I gave up for you. Don't make me the villain again." My stomach turned. What the hell was he talking about? I scrolled further down. There were more emails. Deleted drafts hidden in the archives. Messages that went back months. Some were professional. Others weren't. "You said it would end after New Year's. He suspects nothing. Just give me time. I'm not ready to leave him yet." My vision blurred. The illness was real, but so was the affair. That night, I waited until she fell asleep. Then I printed every email. Dozens of pages. When she woke up, I was sitting at the kitchen table with them spread out like a crime scene. "Tell me which part is fake," I said. She didn't speak. Finally, she whispered, "I didn't mean for it to happen." She told me everything. How therapy turned into late-night conversations, how he understood her, how one night she crossed a line, how she ended it when she got the diagnosis but didn't know how to confess. She said she loved me, that I was the only one who ever truly stayed. But all I could think about was how I'd spent months doubting myself, while she was both sick and lying. I wanted to hate her. I really did, but I just felt empty. 3 weeks later, she started a new treatment program in California. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, and promised to visit soon. A few days after she left, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just my name on the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper from a clinic in Oregon City. It was a bill for private therapy sessions, spouse, Ethan Miller. Under attending physician, it said, Dr. Cole. But here's the part that broke me. Next to primary client, in Laura's handwriting, was written, Owen Miller, our 6-year-old son. And underneath that, in Cole's handwriting, Father, Michael Cole. The day after the letter arrived, I picked Owen up from school. He ran to me, smiling, holding a drawing in his tiny hands. Me, him, and Laura. Only, the man in the drawing had dark hair. I'm blonde. Who's that, buddy? I asked, forcing a smile. He shrugged. That's Daddy. I laughed it off. Kids mix things up, right? But as we drove home, I kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror. His brown eyes, his sharp chin, features that never matched mine, not even a little. That night, when I tucked him in, he mumbled half asleep. Mom says Dr. Cole used to take me fishing. I froze. What did you say? But he was already snoring softly, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. I stood there for a long time, staring at the wall, until the silence in that room started to feel like a scream. I don't remember much after that. Just sitting on the floor, the paper shaking in my hands, the room spinning. I must have read that line 100 times. Father, Michael Cole. It didn't make sense. Owen was my son, but the DNA test enclosed in the folder said otherwise. Dated a year before. Signed by both of them. Laura had known. Dr. Cole had known. I was the only one living a lie. I thought I'd reached the bottom when I caught her cheating. Turns out, that was just the surface. It's been 3 months since that day. Laura's still in treatment. I haven't told her I know. Sometimes I watch Owen play in the yard, his messy blonde hair, that same laugh that used to remind me of her. Now I don't know who it reminds me of. I filed for divorce quietly. Haven't told her yet. I still drive past Dr. Cole's clinic sometimes. It's closed now, sign taken down, number disconnected. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear his voice in my head. Sometimes, Ethan, what you think is control is really fear. He was right. Because now, the only thing I'm afraid of is the truth I already know. Thanks for listening to my story all the way to the end. I know it's a lot to take in. I want to hear from you. What would you do if you were in my place? Share your thoughts in the comments below.